Here's what I have going on in terms of propagations. This is a silver sword that I cut the other day. I took 2 cuttings from the base and I'm in the process of rooting them. This is a Pilea, the raindrop Pilea. I can't think of the Latin name off the top of my head. But this is one that was getting so big I didn't have room for it. So I took this top cutting. This is another cutting from it. And then I have another pot with 2 cuttings. And then this is exciting. This was the main stem that I chopped up on August 24th. And almost all of the pieces of stem have new growth. This is the bottom cutting from the Nigrilanum GG. And then the Philodendron luxurians that I imported over the summer was gorgeous when it came in, but it lost its leaves pretty quickly. Philodendrons don't seem to transport and import as well as Anthurium. So I cut the luxurians. Here's the main stem. Here's the bottom chunk, which you can see has a little new growth. I have a Philodendron Soderoy. This is an offset from an Anthurium veitchii, which has a little bit of growth starting. These 3 Magnificum seedlings I purchased the end of March. They've been very, very slow, but we'll see what happens. This is one of the cuts from the Linamii, which hasn't been doing anything. I don't see any growth points yet. It really hasn't rooted. But I did notice when I opened it today that it has this particular smell that the other chunk had when it's right before it started to show some growth points, which means if I'm lucky, this is going to do the same. It's a very distinct, slightly sour, but not unpleasant smell. This is a baby Belletii from tissue culture. It was variegated. It was from a variegated mother, but tissue culture, that doesn't mean it's going to show, the babies will show variegation. Now this leaf kind of was maybe showing some variegation. It's not exactly what you would look for in terms of variegation on a Belletii. I feel like this newest leaf, when it comes in, it'll give me a better idea of whether or not this plant will be variegated. Either way, I'm very happy with it. And then I have just a few silvery Ann cuttings that I'm rooting to put back in the main pot. I forgot to show this little piece of this little cutting from a Florida Beauty that I purchased recently for $5. I was not thinking it was going to do anything because it was quite dry, much smaller than it had looked like in its picture online, and definitely more dried out than it had been in the picture. I almost actually put it in the trash. It was so dried out, but I thought, well, let me see what will happen, and I put it in pon, and it has a little growth point. Here's what I have in the main prop boxes. This is a whole box of micans. This is a box with Monstera Peru that I'll plant back into the main pot once it roots. Some heartleaf philodendron, more silver Ann, and I think that's Silver Stripe. Is it Silver Stripe or Rio? Cream Splash under here. There are a few pieces. And then in here, some variegated heartleaf philodendron, branditianum, some philodendron Rio cuttings, one or two pieces of Cebu blue that just, I had them rooting with a bunch a few weeks ago, and I planted the other ones, but these pieces hadn't rooted yet. A little piece of Burl Marks Fantasy, Unknown Wet Stick, and then these two little seedlings. One of them is, they're both anthurium. One of them is an SKG Silver crossed with a Tesula Red crystallinum. And this one is a something, I can't read it. I can't read it, but it's something crossed with an Ace of Spades. So this will be really exciting to watch grow. And then I have a Philodendron Splendid and some Manjula. And then in this box I have Marble Queen, Global Green, both of those are pothos. And then this one is, Miken's Halo from Sarah. And then in the other cabinet, I have this little cutting from Hoya maculosa, which was from Equigenera. So this leaf cutting was in here since April. It was in a prop box, then I put it in here. It was doing nothing. It showed some little teeny, very fine hair, wisps of roots, and now it has a new leaf coming. What else is in here? A verrucosum. I took a few cuttings from my other plant, which was started from cuttings. Another tissue culture belletier. This was an offset that grew from the other one. Two more cuttings of heartleaf philodendron. Not really a propagation, but a baby plant, Ring of Fire. These are from propagation, Melanochrysum. I'm propagating this Scindapsus trebui Moonlight. That's about it for this cabinet for propagations. Well, I bought these two cuttings a few months ago. They've nicely rooted and are growing well. These are the other two pieces of the Peperomia raindrop, which is called Polybotria. These are the two that I'll probably end up keeping myself. And then this is the top cut of the Philodendron elegans, which has a new leaf that'll open in the next few days. And that's it for propagations. These are new-ish, but they've each had two leaves come in, so I wouldn't consider them propagations anymore. Yeah, so that's it for my propagations.